We've staked the whole future of American civilization not upon the power of government, far from it. We've staked the future of all of our political institutions upon the capacity of each of all of us to govern ourselves, to control ourselves, to sustain ourselves according to the 10 Commandments of God. Let's see. Roy Moore, Alabama. Some atheist goes in the courthouse, little town in Alabama, sees the 10 Commandments sitting over there. We got James Madison said the 10 Commandments are going to guide our nation. We've staked our whole civilization on it. So 200 years later, some atheist comes along and says, I think that's a violation of my rights to have to look at the 10 Commandments in a courthouse. So they hauled him away. 3 or 4 weeks ago in Cincinnati, Ohio, some judge had a poster of the 10 Commandments. By the way, a big mural is right behind the Supreme Court of the United States. And you know what it is? God handed Moses the 10 Commandments. I mean, it's right above the head of everyone sitting on the Supreme Court. And everyone appointed by the President of the United States to become a member of the Supreme Court. Guess what all of them are required to do? Sign their name in a King James Bible, one right after the other one, all the way from the first one, John J., until now. I wonder why James Madison said we've staked the whole future of our civilization upon the ability of ourselves to control ourselves, sustain ourselves by the 10 Commandments. Better watch them close. So in Cincinnati, some federal judge ruled it was unconstitutional to have the 10 Commandments in the courthouse 3 or 4 weeks ago. My wife showed it to me in the paper. I be a redneck out of North Louisiana, but I am educated. Some of y'all thinking, that old boy looked pretty rough. John the Baptist looked rougher, and he was paving the way for the Savior of the world. So when you see some cat walking down the road, they say, who is that? One time I gave a speech up there in Nashville, a big crowd gathered up like y'all, about 3 times this many. I'm sitting on the front row waiting on to be called up, you know. Some guy come down there whispering in my ear. He said, look, one of the leaders of this church thought you were some homeless guy, and he told me to tell you where the shelter is right down the road. He said, then I had to tell him that you were our guest speaker. He was like, who in the world invited that cat? I'll be a redneck out of North Louisiana, but I am educated, a couple of degrees, in case you want to check it. You say, well, good night. Evidently, you're missing a lot if you don't look at a computer or don't have a cell phone. Do you realize what you're missing? I know exactly what I'm missing. See what I'm saying? I know what I'm missing. But number 5 says, children, honor your father and mother. I notice when children don't honor their father and mother, and they go out, they smoke dope, drive too fast, tear up people's property, vandalize homes, and first one thing and another. When the laws catch them, before it's all said and done, they definitely have a session in the courthouse. You say, why are we taking them to the courthouse? They broke the law. Commandment number 5. What James Madison was talking about 200 years ago. Number 6, do not murder. You want to try that one on for size, Georgia? Go out and murder your neighbor. Hey, you're going to the courthouse when the laws catch you. as surely as I'm standing here, right? Some judge, they're going to, whether they give you 30 years, 50 years, death, you're going to the courthouse if you violate commandment number 6. You violated the law. That's what James Madison was talking about. 7, don't commit adultery. Gentlemen, if your woman catches you with another woman, there's a strong possibility you may be having a court date coming up. Right? You say, what's the woman taking me to court for? I found divorced kids crying, money dividing up. You violated the law. 8, don't steal. What do you do with burglars, bank robbers, armed robbers? What do you do with them, Georgia? Where do they end up? Courthouse. Don't lie. What did they do with Martha Stewart when she told one little lie to the feds about a stock deal? Where'd Martha end up? She got $50 billion. Where'd they take Martha? Courthouse like everybody else. And don't covet. You spend more than you have. You want more than you really need. You're not content. The bill collectors start calling, more going out and going in. Bill collectors start calling, what we're going to do, I don't know. They have something they call bankruptcy, and that's handled out of the courthouse. Look, I mean, I heard what James Madison said 230 years ago. I've just been observing as a redneck from North Louisiana. But if you're going to end up at the courthouse anyway for violating the 10 Commandments, that might be a pretty good place to put them.